From Florida's 2, this is a 2 News Update.
Good evening, I'm Steve Rondinero. He's been a Western hero and a famous TV sheriff. In the past hour, he guest starred in The Heat of the Night, a Central Florida actor doing his best to make a comeback. Tonight on 2 News at 11 o'clock.
I hear him.
He sure don't think much of a gun, does he?
No, he's funny about that. That's ours.
I ain't never seen nobody get so peevish over a cow before.
What? Yeah! Whoa, just take it easy. What are you gonna do? Die? You can't.
Hey, you show yourself around here again, boy. You're gonna get more of the same.
I tried to tell him that it probably never happened again.
I'll do Jimmy Stewart. You do Roy Rogers' sidekick.
Roy, you say?
This is here, Frostcold Coltrane. All conditions are go.
If you want forgiveness, all you need to do is ask for it. Believing in Him who alone can give it.
Every day was exciting. I went to the studio in the morning when the sun came up. As soon as they opened the gates, I was there, and I was there the last one to leave at night. You could take horseback riding, go back in the back lot on Western Street, and the best stuntmen in the world would train you. You could take fencing. They had a gym there where you could box. They had a professional ex-boxer there as a trainer. But what was most rewarding was the fact that you could go down on the soundstage if you were not in an acting class. If your class was over, you could go down on the sound stages and watch people. As I went down to watch Brando do The Man. I went down to watch Jimmy Stewart do Harvey. You know, if you weren't working in a picture, and 1 week you'd do a one-line walk-on, and then next week you might be cast in a feature lead if you were under contract there. And that's the way it was.
You, Jesse James.
Frank James.
Your brothers?
Yep.
Cole Younger.
Jim Younger.
You brothers too? That's right.
I ain't scared of no Union soldiers. It's them red legs that worries me.
How come a man gets mean enough to want to be a redleg?
My pappy says there ain't nobody meaner. He said they're just acting like they're working for the Union Army so as they have a chance to kill and rob decent folks.
Well, we gonna sit up here all day and gab, or are we gonna move on?
Riding through.
Audie Murphy, he was under contract at the time. I was, and Audie and I got along very well. But Audie was very intense. We were doing Kansas Raiders. I remember he shoots, I think it was Scott Brady, I believe, and Tony Curtis and I and Dick Long and Dewey Martin coming out of this store, and he shoots Scott Brady down. And I remember looking at Audie when during the scene, and Audie, when he was shooting Scott Brady, I actually saw death. And of course, you know, Audie was the most decorated soldier in World War II. It never left him. It never left him. Audie was always a dangerous man. Raoul Walsh had the patch over the eye, you know, because he got that in an accident flying one time when a bird came through the windshield. Tough man. We were going there, and we'd landed at an airport, and I can't remember where it was, but I remember it was early in the morning, and everybody was tired, and everybody was just sort of hanging there and waiting for the plane to show up. And just for fun, I mean, I was bored, and Raoul Walsh is sitting down. Maybe there's about 6 or 7 actors, and then his wife, and then Raoul Walsh, and a few other people. And I went, and everything went dead quiet, and I quit. And I saw Raoul Walsh lean forward and look down at me. And then he got up, and I said, oh, my Lord. Because he's very, very intimidating. And he walked up to me and he said, do that again. I thought if I did it, he was going to hit me, probably. I didn't know what he was going to do. And I said, he said, I want you to write a little scene and put that in it. I want to shoot it in the movie. Well, I wanted to be a writer anyway, so I wrote about a 4-page scene. And I give it to him, and he said, I didn't want the, the Gettysburg Address. I wanted the little baby's hand over. He said, just say da 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 da. I go, I said, he says, you got it? I said, yes, sir, I got it. And then he put it in the picture.
Boy, it's coming down like pouring water out of a boot.
You know, back home on a day like this, my old grandpappy used to get out the bagpipes and just whistle away.
Arthur Penn was primarily a stage director, and it was his first movie. So Arthur said, well, we're going to rehearse at my house. He had rented a house there in Hollywood. And we went over there, and we would rehearse there. Paul would always wear the gun, because he was practicing with a left hand, because he was going to play it as a left-hand gunman, as Billy the Kid. And the writers would be there, and we would do a scene, and we could ad-lib if we want to, or paraphrase, or do an improv on it. And they might use some of it, or a little of it.
Hey, Billy! Bucky wouldn't come. He wouldn't listen. None of them.
Sweeten's house.
I got some clothes in my pack roll.
We got 2 of them. Got 2 of them.
You lay still now. I'll get some grease for that burn. Don't touch it now. It's stuck to your arm.
We got 2 of them. We got 2 of them.
Just lay still now. We'll hide out for a couple of days, and then we'll head north for the farm country.
No. Give me the Saval.
Who?
Saval. He's a gunsmith down Madero.
Charlie's down Madero. I'll take you, Madero.
Estoy viendo. Me dieron un beso.
Garrett. Pat Garrett.
Bonnie.
Looks like you got 9 lives.
I got 8 left.
You're hurt bad. Come on, give me a hand.
Whoa. You give me the Saval.
The gunsmith.
We got a doctor.
He don't want no doctor. He just wants Saval.
He worked different than anybody I'd ever seen. Paul builds in layers, beautiful layers. And then he shellacks it, makes it hard. Then he builds another layer and shellacks it, makes it hard. And it was very interesting. He gradually saw him become Billy the Kid. But he's not afraid of the shadows. He'll walk into the dark because he knows where the light is. And there are very few actors have that kind of courage.
Billy, we going on back.
You don't understand. I give the word. You're dead.
Maybe, but before I hit the ground, I'll blow you half in 2.
You're bluffing.
Am I? Call him off, Billy.
Hold your fire, boy! It ain't gonna work. I knew I should have done it my way.
In the back.
Hey, Charlie! Charlie! You go find my brother Frank! You tell him what's happening! Tell him Ben Brigade's taking me to Santa Cruz! You hear me, Charlie? Well, you tell him that! He'll know what to do!
In fact, I had just been married, and my wife had never seen a movie being shot. And we were more or less on our honeymoon during that time. We were up on location up in Arizona, I believe it was. And they put a rigging on, and they put a steel cable through the rope. And the hook was right here behind your neck. And this was a fake rope, I mean a real rope, but it was loose and was no way, it really wouldn't hang you. And this cable broke.
Neck don't snap, you can cut him down in time. That is, if you're alive.
What wasn't with the danger part of hanging so much as was it swinging against this big gnarled tree. Because when the horse jumped out from under you, it swung your way out and you crashed against this tree and it had great big knots in it. Well, my wife, I give her a 16mm camera. I said, shoot this. When they hang, they're going to hang me here. And she had the camera. Well, when the horse jumped out and I swung, I started kicking, and the crew and everybody thought I was actually hanging.
Don't leave a man much choice, do you?
And they ran in and lifted me up, and Bud screamed, "You fools, he's acting." And I was, and so I had to do it again. He said, "You have to do it again." I said, "I only give you one free stunt, Bud. Next one you have to pay as a stuntman." I said, "Either if I do it myself, then," he said, "You know I can't use anybody else." So I made a $500 bill for doing some extra stunt stuff.
I thought for a minute there you were going to let him swing.
So did I.
Best also made his own contribution to 50s horror movies, starring in the cult classic Killer Shrews. In the film, the shrews are actually coon dogs with fake fur and fangs attached.
And they didn't know how to get the dogs to chase me. And so we got a raccoon, and we drug him up through there. We put him in a crate and drug him up through there in the crate. We didn't hurt the coon, but it left the scent. And down wherever that was, where they drug the raccoon, that's where I would run. Okay, I hollered, "Roll it," and I took off running exactly where that coon, well, those dogs were following that track of the coon. It looked exactly like they were chasing me. And I looked back, I wasn't too sure they weren't. And they had those fake fangs sticking up. And after a while, I found myself running for real. And really, you know.
Killer Shrews was produced in Texas, but it played plenty of Florida drive-ins in the summer of 1959.
I don't know if it's known, but Sammy Fuller won the Silver Star by pulling guys off Omaha Beach during World War II. And he would start a scene by firing a .45 off in the air, and that's the way he would start a scene. He shot a lot of holes in a lot of the different sound stages, and Louis B. Mayer sent word down that Sammy, he was going to kill one of the crew if they were up on the catwalks. And you had to be very careful. He thought to kill somebody. Sammy was sort of a wild man, full of talent, tremendous director. We did a shot in Shock Corridor that he shot the full 5 minutes out of the camera, and he did 32 moves in one take.
Witness number one, Stewart, farm boy from the Bible Belt. Hobby, playing Civil War games. Believes he's General Jeb Stuart, Confederate hero of the Civil War.
As you know, I had an acting school teaching camera technique for many years. And I teach that the camera should see this area. The white of the eyes is what the audience is watching because it's the brightest part of the face. And so what I did, I want to make an entrance, so I dropped my head like that so you cannot see the eyes, and then gradually raised it up until you can see the eyes. And then I moved slow, which is all one strong movement. And I wanted that entrance, which I thought was very dramatic, and yet it was still believable because the man is very intent and very serious, thinking he is Jeb Stuart in the Civil War.
Mr. Pulitzer, come on, show you to your table.
Changed your mind about the Reds.
Dog face. Dog face. I was having a ball waving a red flag until I met a sergeant from the 1st Division.
He was a GI retread from World War II. Fought through North Africa and Sicily and all through Europe up to Czechoslovakia. And after he was captured in Korea, well, then he was transferred to my camp, and then I was assigned to help brainwash him over the commie side.
The names that I mentioned in that monologue were combat buddies that were killed in World War II that were dear friends of Sammy's, which right away, when he told me of their deaths, stamped an emotional response in my heart. So when I did the monologue, it was very easy as an actor to call upon that and what it meant to Sammy so much that he mentions those boys' names. That's all it really took. And you're talking about raw emotion, you're right. It was raw emotion because actually I was not acting really the contents of the scene so much as I was I got the emotion by thinking that how important it was for Sammy and the respect that he was paying these dead friends of his, and so the emotion was there automatically, and it happened, and I could go to tears each time, and each time I did it, for 3 or 4 takes, Peter Breck kept crying, breaking up in the scene, and he wasn't supposed to, and so we had to shoot it again, and it was because he felt that too.
This Sergeant Kolowitz, that was his name, Kolowitz. Told me things that I never dreamed of. Things that I wanted to wrap up gentle and proud like and go to sleep thinking about. Things that give me a feeling like things my folks should have told me. And I wanted to go home. So you see, I stopped waving the red flag. And the commies said that I was sick in the head. So it was easy for me to get on the next prisoner exchange. And they brought me back and they gave me a dishonorable discharge. And nobody talked to me. And everybody spit on me. And Pappy spit on me.
Sammy Fuller is a genius. They recognize him in Europe and everything. He's like Jerry Lewis. The United States will eventually one day grow up enough to realize the genius of these men.
They did it. They shot him down. I never thought they'd do that. Not the Pinto Sykes. Not that easy.
You ain't got more than a few minutes left to live, Johnny Rob. You go fetch his pa and sister.
All right, Mother Shed. Yes, sir. That's the end of that.
Normally, the old man would be correct. This would be the end of the story. We've had the traditional shootout on the street, and the bad man will soon be dead. But some men of legend and folktale have been known to continue having their way even after death. The outlaw and killer Pinto Sykes was such a person. And shortly we'll see how he introduces the town and a man named Connie Miller, in particular, to the Twilight Zone.
I did one of the few westerns that they ever did as a Twilight Zone. It was a ghost story that I told Monty Pittman, who was one of the writers on the show. And Monty wrote it into a western for Lee Marvin, Strother Martin, and I.
You know something, Mr. Mothershed? Maybe by now Pinto knows who it was that killed him.
Reckon you're some disappointed, Connie. Being as how you spent so much time trying to find him for yourself.
That I am, Ira. 4 months of the year wasted looking for him. I could have found him here.
That ain't the way Pinto tells it. He claimed you didn't even try to catch up to him.
Hello, Johnny Rob.
Still big as blabbermouth as ever, I find.
You do spout an awful lot, Johnny Rob.
That's Rock and Roll Rosie from Riley. Maybe y'all remember that. That was on an Andy Griffith show that I was on. In fact, I played the guitar player, and then the show was pretty popular, and so they brought it back for the second time, which was a thrill to me. Well, it was a thrill the first time I got it, because the agent called, and of course I wanted to work with Andy Griffith and Don Knotts, of course, and that wonderful cast they had on that show. And so I went over, and especially when they said, well, you're going to play a musician, that tickled me. They called me up and said, can you play the guitar? And I said, are you kidding? I have 2 guitars, which I did. Yeah, a lot of people on the show, they don't know. They always wondered if it was me that played the guitar. Well, maybe with this, we'll clear it up once and for all. Little Rock and Roll Rosie from Riley. Wait a minute, just before I do that, though, I want to tell you something. What was sort of funny to me, I get over on the set, and they said, well, here is the music. So they handed me the music to Rock and Roll Rosie, and I said, wait a minute, see, I don't read music. I play by ear, and but I'll give you a little sample anyway. And I start to play it, and well, I'll play a little bit. I'll show you what I did. But you know what was funny about the doggone thing, though, was that now Andy played the guitar. He didn't play it very well, but he liked to play it. And the makeup man, Lee Greenway, he played a banjo. Well, we'd sit around on the set and horse around, you know, between takes, you know. And so I got to be around the boys who really liked music. I wrote a few lyrics to some songs. I was under contract to Gene Autry at Challenge and 4-Star Record Company, and I wrote some lyrics, and Ricky Nelson cut one of my songs on his album, and Lefty Frizzell and Mr. Wallace, and yeah, that tickled me to death, because you know I thought, well, maybe I was hanging around with Glenn Campbell and all those nice people. So, oh, back to Rock and Roll Rosie from Riley. Okay, here we go. Wait, listen. This is a different type of guitar than I played on the Andy Griffith show. This is a newer version, and I think this is pretty, don't you? This is pretty nice little thing here. I went down to the reunion, the 35th reunion. I was very flattered they invited me down there to Riley, and at the Andy Griffith reunion. And I said, well, you know, I wasn't really a running regular on the Andy Griffith show. And they said, no, but the guitar playing thing was very popular, and so I was playing with Bobby Fleet and a band with the beat, and I played Rock and Roll Rosie from Riley. Listen, rather than me playing it again for you, why don't I show you some clips from the Andy Griffith show, and you'll get to hear the whole band, which I'm sure you'll appreciate, rather than just playing with a single instrument. Anyway, so let's go to the clip, and
you might try blowing across an empty pop bottle. Sound like a boat coming in.
Jim Lindsay. Hey, Barney, it's Jim. Jim Lindsay.
And I hope someday that you have a son.
And someday,
when a man comes along and kills one of them, I want you to remember,
Well, he was doing this very emotional scene, and I'm down there fly fishing under the bridge. I love to fish. And I hooked a trout, and the trout's jumping and making noise, and I'm scared to death that it's going to interrupt the scene. And so I'm sticking the pole under the water, trying to keep the trout under the water so he won't jump around. Well, finally the scene is over, and I have now put the trout on a stringer, and I'm waiting up through there, and Mr. Stewart walks down over the bank and sits down in his chair, and as I get up near him, he says, Jim, come over here. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm fishing. He said, oh yeah, well, I see that. But he said, well, let me ask you something. Why is it when I'm up there working so hard, you know, and you get to be down here fishing? And I said, Mr. Stewart, when I make the money that you're making and get to be a star that you are, I said, then I'll be up there working and you can come down. And he said, oh, well, you got a point there.
What? You've got to get out of here. I'm trying to get out. Let go of my jacket, Ben. Go tell Liz I'm downstairs. Downstairs? Tell her I'm in the car. Yeah. Tell her I got hives. No, not hives. No, but pneumonia. Anything. Yeah. But get her in the car. And you get her downstairs. And I'll get her in the car. I'll get her to the boat. Yeah, get her to the boat. Yeah. There's the elevator. I know where it is. Well, don't push. I know where it is. You get in there. Right, the other people out. And don't forget to tell Liz what I told her. I won't forget. Now, go ahead. You tell her that I would have stayed up here. Tell her. Tell her that I didn't go on account. Yes, let her know. I'll tell her. Oh. Watch it, my arm. Go ahead. Get the...
We went out and partied a little bit, and he said, would you like to do a movie with me? And I said, yes, sir, I'd give anything to do a movie with you. And I mostly play heavies now, though. And he said, no. He said, you're going to do some comedy. I didn't hear any more from him for about 3 or 4 months. And one time my agent said, go over and meet Jerry Lewis. And I went over to Columbia, and Jerry Lewis, while walking in the door, and he threw a script at me. And he said, go down and get 4 suits made. I said, for what? He said, you hillbilly, pea picker, so he said, didn't I tell you that you were going to do a movie with me? I said, yes, sir, but I said, a lot of people have told me that, and it didn't necessarily materialize. He said, well, I don't lie. And it was a lead with he and Janet Leigh. And I actually got to see firsthand how a genius worked.
What are you doing here?
That's what I was just trying to find out. What are you doing here?
As a matter of fact, I was just about to tell little woman, I'm here on account of my horse. I was
Your horse?
To the vet. The vet? Yeah, that's my vet. You didn't mean, I'm sorry. Dr. Miser is Anna Dr. Miser.
You look familiar, Doctor. Have we met?
No, you never, I don't. Listen, when are we going to my office and talk about it? Wait, honey, I was going to tell him about his office. You got Susie in there, the tiger, the tiger claw, Susie! Susie! You can't go to the office.
I came here to see about Dr. Harcourt.
I know her very well. Yeah, why don't you? And you go to him, Anna. I'm double horse. I mean, my partner's, I'm going to take care of my horse, then I'm going to come right back, honey.
He said, what part do you want to play? And I said, I'd like to play the homosexual. He said, Jimmy, you've played the mean SOBs and everything all your life, and the rapists and killers and everything else. Nobody's going to buy the fact that you're a homosexual. I said, I'm an actor. I don't have to be a homosexual to play it. I'm an actor. And so he said, no. And so he went back to Hollywood. And he said, everybody that auditioned was a Truman Capote. And so I shot my own screen test, sent it to him. And he said, oh my God, you can do it. I said, my price just doubled.
We can't have people believing that Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the bridge because of a man, can we? This way, people will think there's a baby somewhere. Something to show for all our trouble. And maybe I'll get to believe in it, too.
I tried to tell him that it probably never happened again.
I guess he didn't believe you.
It ain't gonna be easy for you. You're going off alone.
Oh, I'll be back before long. I'm only 15. What do I know of the world?
you want, I'd sure be pleased to drive you to the bus.
Well, that'd be right neighborly of you, Mr. Barksdale, sir.
A year's come and gone since we heard the news about Billy Joe.
Honey, you can't come down here. No, I'm still in intensive care. Well, I sneaked out to make this phone call to you. Yeah. Well, I want you to talk some of that trash, too.
Excuse me, I gotta make a very important call. You mind?
Buzz off, fella. Yeah, honey. You know what I want. Yeah. Yeah, talk some of that lovey talk. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
I hate to be rude, but this really is an important call.
Will you kiss my ass? Oh, not you, honey. No, no. No, some guy. Oh, no, that's it. Oh, don't make me breathe too heavy now. No, I don't get my pacemaker till tomorrow. Yeah, honey. What? Oh, yeah, that's the good part. Yeah, what? I'll call you back.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Darlene, is Marty there? Lunch? Hell, it's only 11 o'clock. Where's he having lunch at? God damn, I don't give a crap what he said. Where's he having lunch at? Darlene, I'm going to be dead in 24 hours. Now, where's he having lunch? Pass it back.
We go back, way back to the days of Gunsmoke and everything when he played the blacksmith.
I'd hold it right there, Sam Beale.
Buddy, I'm not Sam Beale.
Mr. Quinn, it's you.
What are you doing out here?
I'm looking for Sam Beale.
Soaking wet. You better go home and change your clothes before you get sick.
Oh, no, I can't leave Mr. Dakota.
Burt is a very talented director, very, very talented actor. They're just finding out how talented he is as an actor. I was fortunate enough, he made me associate producer on Gator and The End, and he had enough faith in me while he was in front of the camera to overlook the shooting.
They mate for life, you know.
You're kidding.
Oh, sure.
I wish I was dead.
The Swans. I wanted them making love, the Swans, and Burt's sitting there very despondent and sitting on the bank. I thought it would be very interesting if we had the Swans if we had the Swans mating. And so we couldn't figure out how to do that. We got a skin diver and we got him under the water and tried to hold the duck's legs, hold one duck on top of the other duck. Not a duck, it was a big swan. The damn swan nearly beat the guy to death. And that did not work. They were going to wire their legs together. I said, we can't do that. They finally got enough. I said, we only needed just a quick cut because Burt looks, he's despondent. Everybody's making love, even the swans, and he's got a terminally ill. It's a black comedy, needless to say. So, Dom DeLuise is sitting on the bench, and the ducks swim. The swans swim by, and one of the swans decided to come up on the bank, and Burt, Macho Burt, picks up the swan and throws his ass back in the water, and said, keep it rolling. So we kept the camera rolling, and the swans swim by again, and they come back up on the bank again, one of them. And Dom DeLuise is going to be real macho like Burt, and proceeds to go down there, and the swan attacked him. and Dom DeLuise took off like a 3-year-old with a bull behind him.
You told me you were quitting after this picture so you could trade it off against doing this ridiculous stunt. Isn't that true?
You're crazy, you know that? I'll tell you one thing. You're crazy, you know?
I don't want to hear you.
No, listen.
Get your hands off
you
me.
dumb jackass.
You shut your drunken mouth.
Listen, don't you messing up a word.
Sonny!
Oh. 172 motion picture fights. It's the first time he ever hit me. That little bitch can hit.
Ironic thing happened. When we finished Hooper, we were at the cast party. I went up to Burt to thank him again and hug his neck. And I said, thank you so much for letting me share a marvelous experience with you again. Because we've done probably 10 or 12 shows together. And he hugged my neck and he said, don't thank me. He said, in a year's time, your name will be a household word. And why he said that, I don't know. And I got the Dukes. And about a year later, the part of Roscoe P. Coltrane made me a household word.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
Hold it right there.
What? We'll be getting all kind of complaints about you two.
What?
Now you guys are gonna have to leave the lot. Come on with me.
Well, we're here on official business.
Right. So am I.
Wait a minute, listen, I ain't leaving this here lot until I sell my picture. That's what
Come on with me.
No, we...
With the Roscoe character, when I went in to do a read for to see the producers about it, I said, how do you want him played? And originally, Roscoe was not a he hated Boss Hogg, and he really was a good, trying to be a good policeman. This was not funny. I actually shot a guy in the knee, and we were using curse words, not bad curse words, but curse words, you know. And I said, this is going to be a family show. Let's change the character. I'll make him a buffoon, but I'll play him as a child because I didn't really want to play a subservient person who went along with evil. Mm-hmm. And so I played it as a child, the naivety of a child, and Roscoe was totally unaware, really sort of unaware that it was naughty. I mean, it was naughty, but it was sort of like a game to him. It's like you could entice a child into doing something naughty that he really shouldn't do, eating the cake, stealing a piece of the cake, and eating it, and then saying, well, I was hungry. So I played him as a child. I played him as, and I did all the shtick and stuff that I did for my daughters to make them laugh. And the audience, I think, accepted that fact.
Liberators! We're not here as liberators! Now you get that straight, all of you! We're here as conquerors, and don't you forget it!
I was considered a rebel in Hollywood. I wasn't a rebel. I was just honest, and they weren't used to that. And it was very, 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 very tough on me because I was not used to their way of fighting. And I had to learn to toughen up or die. There are a lot of wolves in Hollywood.
Well, now, Slim, you know, a hero, he don't work like that.
Charlie, why didn't you tell him?
I'll tell you why, lady. Because he's one macho motherfucker.
Well, Bill Gillespie, how are you?
Same old story. Well, but worried.
Well, they got pills for that. I'm on them.
I'll try some. Give me a bunch.
A bunch is $10. Get your own.
I want to ask you about somebody.
Go ahead.
Del Mueller. Did he ever kill anybody? I mean to say, was he up to it?
Well, long time ago he was. He probably did.
Who did he kill?
I think he killed several people. He was that kind of guy.
Black people?
Yeah. And a couple of white people, too. Del Mueller was the devil's own. And that's a fact.
You know why I'm asking about this, don't you?
Sure I do. Same reason those young men of yours came over to speak to me. You all read in the newspaper where Mueller reported a probable killing to me 43 years ago.
Was he telling the truth? Because he told me he lied.
The only testimony that could count here, Bill, is a dead man's remains, if science could cause those remains to speak.
Well, Nate, we weren't fixing to prosecute, you know, in the ordinary sense. It's just that, listen, is it true that great thoughts come in small books?
Yeah. And in this little book is the greatest thought of all. There's no other thought that can give you such complete comfort. Can I tell you what it is?
You certainly can.
If you want forgiveness, all you need to do is ask for it. Believing in Him who alone can give it.
This is where I relax. This is my art gallery where I spend a lot of my time painting. I do a lot of different types of paintings. I do a lot of watercolors and oils. Burt Reynolds had a showing for me when I was doing, when I was produced on Gator. And we were down in Savannah, Georgia. And actually, we shot in Conyers, Georgia, where Dukes of Hazzard was shot, believe it or not, on Gator. And while we were down there, I did a lot of paintings. And these are some of the inspirational points that I saw all through the South. I've traveled all over the South. I love the South, of course. I paint mostly southern landscapes because that's where I was born. I was born in Kentucky, in a little coal mining town in Powderly, Kentucky, and my daddy was a coal miner, and there was I had a lot of brothers and sisters for him to feed, and so I was adopted when I was 4 years old and raised in southern Indiana, right across from Louisville, Kentucky, by a lovely couple, Armin and Essa Best, and it was during the Depression. They couldn't afford me, really. And times were hard, but we laughed and giggled because we didn't know we were poor, because everybody else was too. So I wrote a play called Hellbent for Good Times. It's a bittersweet comedy, and my wife produced it, and we did it in 5 or 6 different cities, and we got standing ovations every time. So I was encouraged enough to write a movie called Hellbent for Good Times, and nobody has seen this. Now, you'll be the first ones to really see this other than the people who paid for a theater ticket. And we did put it on video, and I'm going to put it on this tape for you to enjoy. And I hope you do, and I hope you let me know if you liked it. This is Peggy Stewart and I in a scene called Hellbent for Good Times. Seemed to me the good Lord did what started what He wanted to do with us old folks when we got old.
What you mean?
Well, just when a person gets enough age on them to really have enough brains to really enjoy life, he starts taking things away from you.
Yeah. Oh, he does no such thing.
What the heck he don't? What happens when you get old? I'll tell you what happens, J.D. First your eyesight gives out, then you go deaf, and then everything else sort of follows along right after it, you know. Everything's supposed to be soft, gets hard. Everything's supposed to be hard, gets soft. And if there's anything else in any kind of working order, it either caves in or falls off. Let me go first, would you? Let me do that.
John.
Would do that, yeah.
You mean you love me so much you wouldn't want to live without me?
Well, I've had you around so dang long, Ada, I don't think I could replace you.
Well, you do too love me.
Well,
but you just ain't said it right out where I could hear it.
Well, that's
Come
much
on,
easier.
say it
It's
one
much
time,
easier.
right out where I can hear it.
I'd have to say it awful loud for you to hear it. You're deaf as a post.
We're beating around the bush. Come on, say it.
What? I can't do it. You're mashing.
Yeah,
Don't mash
say
it.
it.
I'm not going to do it while you're mashing. No one can say it if they're mashed. I'm going to say it for you. All right, you ready, Ada?
I've been ready for 40 years.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm not, Ada.
Yeah,
I'm not. Wait a minute. Now, you just can't rush in and say something like that. It takes... I love you, woman. I always did and always will. I said it, didn't I? Did you hear it? Look at that, I did it, didn't I? Did it make you happy?
Of course it made me happy.
Yeah, that's nice.
I got chills when you said
Did
that.
it?
Yeah, oh, look at here, I got...
My daughter goes with Michael Damian when you see him on Young and Restless. And she was producing, Michael wants to direct, and he was going to direct a little thing that he had written. And so they asked if I'd come to California and do it. And so I went out and did it. And it's called Finders Keepers. This is the actual mask that we used in a movie called Death Mask. It's a movie that I wrote and that my wife and my daughter, my wife Dorothy and my daughter Janine Best were the executive producers on it. And it was directed by Steve Ladshaw, who's now in California. And we had a wonderful time on the picture. It is a semi-serious thriller, and we're going to show you a few clips of it. We're very proud of this because we formed a company called Best Friend Films, and it was just that. It was formed by friends and relatives of ours. Everybody went to the hip and threw in a few bucks until we raised enough money to shoot this little picture. So we shot it. Part of it was in our home, part of it was on locations and everything, and we had the original signs from the carnival that were actually used in a carnival that toured the United States and Europe. And I think it's a very exciting film. You're going to see a clip of Linnea Quigley, who has done about 40 movies. I guess they were in what you would call the thriller or horror gender, and she was considered what they quote scream queen, and a beautiful lady and a good actress, and she played the young lady in the carnival who befriends me. I play a man whose face is scarred on one side very badly from a childhood burn, and
who carves these hideous masks in a carnival and decides he wants to carve something beautiful. He carves this mask, and unfortunately he releases the evil out of the wood from the mask, and when he gazes into the eyes of those who have tormented him because of his disfigurement, all they see is death from the death mask.
Mask of terror.
It's the eyes! Take it off, Wilbur!
A mask of evil.
You have created your own monster. You have lived with it. And now you must die with it.
A mask of death.
I've kept my integrity. I've kept my honesty. I've learned an awful lot. Hollywood, I mean, adversity, I think, is the best teacher in the world. It's a hard way to learn it, perhaps, but it stays with you. I came out of the Kentucky hills, the coal mines, hitchhiked to New York with 43 cents in my pocket, and I figure, if this old country boy can make it, anybody can. It's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other. I think the good Lord gave us a perfect indication when he gave us 2 feet, and you learn to run forward very quickly. But when you try to run backwards, you fall on your butt. And I think he's trying to tell us something.
No, that's good stuff. I hate to be rude, but this really is important.
Will you kiss my ass?
Sir?
That's a good
Hey, the night's too quiet, and it's too young quit.
Well, that's about it.